When I announced that I'd be recording the full campaign of Destiny 2 The Witch Queen when it launches on February 22nd, my viewers asked that I put together a recap, a story thus far for them. Many of them have never played Destiny and know nothing about its amazing lore beyond things that I've talked about on stream and in my Discord, so since I love Destiny and its worlds, I decided why not. For context, the Witch Queen expansion will see us confronting Savathun, the titular Witch Queen herself, in a conflict that's been brewing for years of real-life time. It's extremely exciting. It's something we've been looking forward to a lot, so this is what you need to know about her. I present to you an extremely abbreviated history of the events of Destiny that only pertain to the Witch Queen, I swear. God, it's like a light novel title. Okay. Our story begins with the Hive, the central race of beings for the story of Witch Queen, and possibly the most important race in Destiny, lore-wise, other than the races of humanity. They're the closest thing to direct servants of the darkness that exists, the darkness being the ultimate antagonistic force in Destiny's universe, and the polar opposite of the light, which is what grants the player's guardian and all other guardians their power. So, the Hive is pretty much the biggest threat in the universe, and our strongest adversary. But what are the Hive? Well, the Hive are a spacefaring race of monstrous warriors and bloodseekers. Imagine like the Tyranids, or the Zerg, or the Flood, but with less infectious, locust-esque mutagenic hive minds and more Blood Knight eldritch magic fueled by pyramid schemes. It's not a joke. The entirety of Hive society is literally based on a giant paracausal pyramid scheme where the currency is slaughter and the CEOs raking in all the profit have been made gods by their ill-gotten gains. You see, every member of the Hive is implanted with a parasitic worm larva due to a deal that was cut millennia ago with a group of beings known only as the Worm Gods. The worms granted the Hive their larva, which would empower the Hive with endless potential growth and ever-expanding strength, on the condition that they always be feeding said larva through slaughter and conquest. Which, no biggie, right? They would forevermore have to live by the logic of the sword, a dogmatic belief system that takes the concept of survival of the fittest and doesn't just run with it, it sprints down the field with its pants on its head while screaming bloody murder. By following the sword logic, you can make it a literal rule of nature that you are the most powerful being in the universe and as such can't be killed, because doing so would break the laws of physics and reality itself. You could only possibly be harmed by another paracausal being, a being that exists outside the laws of time and space and reality. But mortal beings, little schlubs, basic dudes, they can't lay a hand on you. It's a good deal. You literally become a god. And that's exactly what the rulers of the Hive did. They set up a system of tithes, where every lesser Hive kills and conquers to gain power, then takes just enough of that power for themselves to feed their worm, and sends the rest up the chain. From the Thrall, to the Acolyte, to the Knight, the Wizard, the various Ascendant Hive beings, and finally, to Oryx, Savathun, and Xivu Arath. Oryx, Savathun, and Xivu Arath are a trio of siblings. They're the ones who cut the deal with the Worm Gods originally, and all around they're absolute bastards. They took their broods and spread out across the universe, engaging in their own special brands of warfare to empower their worms and satisfy their hunger. Oryx exerted his domineering will over all he could see, and as such he gained power. Savathun engaged in trickery, deceit, and lies, and as such, she gained power. Xivu Arath utilized sheer, overwhelming power and bloodletting, and as such, she gained power. In this way, they became gods, their own actions and the tithes granted to them by their subordinates, carving out their own niches in the universe as the avatars of will, cunning, and war, respectively. And eventually, that brought them to Sol, to Earth, and to us. You see, humanity in Destiny has had a hell of a ride. We encountered the Traveler in, I want to say the late 2060s, if I remember correctly, a construct of the light that gifted us with immense knowledge and technology. It's a giant orb in the sky. We don't know much about it. Is it the light? Is it actually just a construct of the light? Is it alive? We don't really know. Answers that will come in time, I'm sure, but it's not important. What is important is that planets were terraformed, human lifespan tripled, and we came to know a time of miracles. But, of course, that couldn't last, or we wouldn't have a game to play, so... Remember how I mentioned the darkness and the light and how they're polar opposites? Yeah. That means, when the darkness realized what the Traveler was up to, it came and slapped our burgeoning little golden age with all its miracle technology and extended lifespans out of the sky like a fly with a wet towel. We suffered the collapse, which led to a centuries-long dark age where we were on the verge of extinction. Probably wasn't worth it in the end, but, you know. When the Hive showed up in our system, humanity was just starting to get back on its feet, so we didn't take too kindly to literal agents of the dark that had just swatted us out of the air with the towel rolling up. We really didn't take kindly to one of their princes, Crota, son of Oryx, carving out a multi-dimensional wound in the moon and setting up shop. So, we went to war, and after a very long and very bloody conflict, we killed Crota. This set off a massive chain of events, the most important of which saw Crota's daddy, Oryx, God King of the Hive and Avatar of Will, showing up and declaring personal vengeance on us for killing his son. Notably, the death of Crota was a double blow for Oryx, as not only did he feel a parental bond with Crota in a weird Hive way, they do feel love, just love involves trying to kill each other to make themselves stronger, because, like, what better to try and kill you than me who knows you the best, and if you can survive that, then you can survive anything that the world throws at you, right? Right, cool, so I'm gonna kill you now. Sword in your back, bye. They're weird. The Hive are strange, man. But yeah, not only did Crota know Oryx's love, but Crota was also a huge tithe-generating machine for Oryx, because of all of his armies and because all of the blood that he would spill in Oryx's name. And that tithe was now lost, and Oryx was weakened severely as a result. He needed to kill us, not just to get revenge for Crota, not to just soothe the wound in his heart that was left by his son dying, but to literally fill the hole in his pyramid scheme, in his tithe, and satisfy his worm, because it would be all too happy to consume him if he failed to do so. But, unfortunately for Oryx, Guardians are also beings of paracausal power. And at the end of the day, we went to his throne world, his seat of power, and we killed him. Our will overpowered that of the god of will himself, and we slew him. Pretty good work for a group of 6 random Humies and Humi-adjacent beings, huh? So one of the Hive gods is dead, right? But what does any of that have to do with the Witch Queen? Well, think about it. When the very tippy top of the Eldritch Pyramid scheme gets beaten at its own game, kinda starts to show the weakness of said scheme, right? And Savathun, being somewhat of a schemer herself, had already realized the eventuality that the Hive would no longer be able to feed their worms and would get consumed by them instead. So, while her siblings were off waging war and dying and whatever, she was trying to cash out. Once Oryx got himself killed, Savathun took notice of our power and began to exert her influence over the Sol System. Note, I'm just not gonna go over everything that she's done, because it would take a whole series. I mean, you've got entire lore channels dedicated just to navigating the lore of the Hive. So, suffice to say, Savathun began to test the limits of our light, the force that gives us our power, and was trying to figure out how it all works. While we dealt with the threats that she placed before us, Savathun planned. As the darkness returns to the system once more in response to our growing power, she's been plotting. And now, her plan has been put into motion.
Who is Savathun, you ask? You already know. Oh, guardian mine. I am your friend. I tried to protect you from the Black Fleet. You called it interference. Don't worry. I was not offended. Instead, I found a form more pleasing to your eyes. Osiris was lost, lightless. I saved him from Xivu Arath and assumed his shape so I could guide your victory against her. I ferried the reborn prince to your city so he could be redeemed. I protected Zavala from Keitel's ambitions, ending a war before it could even begin. I delivered the House of Light on its knees to Ikora. I unmasked the enemies lurking inside your city's walls and destroyed them. You may disagree with my methods, but you can't argue with results.
In the last few months of the game, it's been revealed that Savathun has been impersonating Osiris, one of the greatest guardians to ever live. He's a trusted advisor to the current leaders of humanity, a friend, a mentor, and a former warrior whose experience and efforts have been absolutely vital to the continued survival of humanity up to this point. Savathun saw all that. She recognized the potential that was laying there. She saw in it an opportunity. So, in his moment of weakness, Savathun sealed Osiris away, took him somewhere, hid him from our gaze, and took on his form so she could infiltrate our ranks. She's been using Osiris' relationships with the most valuable persons of Destiny, using his influence to get classified knowledge, manipulate pieces into places on the chessboard where she wants them. She mentored Crow, a young and powerful guardian who was resurrected from one of our most hated foes, caused one of our greatest potential assets to be riddled with doubt in our cause and uncertainty as to his own loyalties. And she's even been gaslighting our very player character, as you saw in that cutscene, attempting to convince us that she's only ever been on our side, trying to do what's best for us, that her time as Osiris was intended as an alliance and a show of good faith. But all the while, all she's actually wanted is one simple thing: to be freed of her worm, that she no longer has to fear its all-consuming hunger. She's turned her back on the darkness, on her sister Shiva Roth and their legacy, in favor of the light. Our light. She tricked Mara Sov, Queen of the Awoken, and a powerful witch in her own right, into agreeing to excise Savathun's worm. Mara hoped that she'd be able to best the god of lies and deceit and kill the Hive Queen once she was no longer protected by her worm's magic, but unsurprisingly, she never had the chance.
You're running out of time. I feel my sister bearing down on you.
Your family is tenacious, if nothing else.
No more than yours.
My brother spent years suffering punishment for the path you made him walk. Finally, justice finds its mark. Let this be the end of it. No.
Thank you.
As you can see, Savathun is gone, leaving Osiris, the real Osiris, in her place. And now, somehow, she has the light.
Truth is a funny thing. Does it live in the world? Or in the mind? Is it constant? decides what is true. In this universe of light and dark, there is no greater power. Tell me, little lights, what is your truth now?
Man, oh man, oh man. This is... Whatever is happening here, whatever Savathun has done, however she's managed this thing, it's bad news bears for everyone. Like, never before has anyone been able to just steal the light successfully. It's happened once before in the history of Destiny, but it didn't end well for the individual that did it. And, it was nowhere near as precise and controlled as Savathun appears to be engaging with it. So, we don't know how she's done it, why there's Hive ghosts making Hive light bearers, or even what Savathun's ultimate plan is. We have no idea. But that's what we're hopefully going to learn in The Witch Queen. And with any luck, I've given you enough of a primer to be able to follow along when the DLC releases and my coverage of it begins. Let me know if you have any further questions, either here in the comments or in my Discord, which there is a link for in the description. And if you're a lore aficionado and you see an issue with the information I presented here today, let me know that as well. There's obviously a massive amount of information I've not mentioned or truncated, but when discussing the Hive, you could get bogged down forever if you don't try to stay focused. So I had to simplify some things, and maybe some stuff got lost in the shuffle, so let me know. But yeah, guys, thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I got way more invested in this project than I expected to, but I had a blast making it, so I can only hope that you enjoyed it as much as I did. But as always, all the normal YouTube things, likes, shares, etc. would be appreciated. Make sure you sub to see when my Witch Queen gameplay is going live, and most importantly, be good to each other. Bye now.